A night of elegance and nerves. Olivia Chen stepped out of the luxury car, her heart pounding beneath the silk fabric of her midnight blue gown. The Grand Celestial Hotel stood before her like a palace of glass and gold, its windows blazing with light against the evening sky. She had saved for months to afford this dress, knowing that tonight she would be surrounded by the wealthiest people in the city. Nathan Sterling emerged from the other side of the vehicle, adjusting his cufflinks with practiced ease. At 40 years old, he had built Sterling Technologies from a small startup into a global powerhouse. His presence commanded respect everywhere he went. Tonight, in his perfectly tailored charcoal suit, he looked every bit the successful entrepreneur that Forbes magazine had featured on their cover last month. "You look stunning tonight, Olivia," Nathan said, offering his arm with a warm smile. "Thank you for accompanying me. I know these charity events can be rather tedious." Olivia accepted his arm, trying to calm her racing pulse. For 4 years, she had worked as his executive assistant, managing his impossible schedule and handling the complex details of running a billion-dollar company. Nathan had always been kind and respectful, but she maintained strict professional boundaries. The distance between their worlds felt vast and uncrossable. Worlds apart. She was the daughter of restaurant owners who had immigrated with nothing and built a modest life through hard work. Nathan came from generations of wealth, educated at Harvard and Oxford. Despite working closely together every day, Olivia never allowed herself to imagine anything beyond their professional relationship. "The foundation does incredible work," Olivia replied, watching volunteers arrange auction items across elegant display tables. "Besides, someone has to prevent you from bidding ridiculous amounts on sculptures just because they match your office decor." Nathan laughed, that genuine sound that always made her stomach flip. "You know me far too well. That is precisely why you are irreplaceable." They moved through the crowded ballroom, Nathan greeting business partners and philanthropists with effortless charm. Olivia remained at his side, occasionally whispering reminders about names or previous conversations. She had mastered the art of being the invisible force that kept his professional life running smoothly. An unwelcome voice. "Nathan Sterling, what a pleasure," a melodious voice interrupted them. Olivia turned to see Vanessa Monroe, a socialite known for her charity work and her pursuit of wealthy bachelors. Her champagne-colored gown probably cost more than Olivia earned in 6 months. "And who might this lovely companion be?" Vanessa asked, her eyes assessing Olivia from head to toe. "This is Olivia Chen, my executive assistant," Nathan introduced her politely. Olivia felt the familiar sting of that label. Assistant. Just an employee. Nothing more than a professional convenience. "How wonderful," Vanessa said with a smile that never reached her eyes. It must be fascinating to work so closely with someone as accomplished as Nathan. Before Olivia could respond, a laugh echoed across the ballroom. Her blood turned to ice. She knew that laugh intimately. For 3 years, she had heard it every day until 8 months ago when everything shattered. The ghost of relationships passed. Jordan Walsh looked as polished as ever, his sandy hair styled perfectly, wearing an expensive navy suit. Beside him stood a striking woman with cascading auburn hair and flawless makeup. Olivia recognized her immediately from social media. Rebecca Lane, an influencer with 3 million followers and a lifestyle that radiated luxury. Jordan's eyes met hers across the room, and his expression shifted from surprise to something resembling satisfaction. He walked toward them with Rebecca on his arm, wearing that confident smile that once made Olivia's heart race but now only made her feel sick. "Olivia," Jordan said, his voice dripping with false warmth. "What an unexpected surprise. You look different. New dress?" "Hello, Jordan," Olivia forced herself to sound casual, feeling Nathan tense slightly beside her. "Yes, this is Rebecca. I follow your lifestyle blog." Rebecca extended a perfectly manicured hand, her eyes evaluating every detail of Olivia's appearance. "Oh yes, the ex-girlfriend. Jordan has mentioned you." That dress is quite interesting. Is it from a vintage shop? The subtle cruelty. The veiled insult stung. Olivia knew exactly what Jordan had said about her. That she lacked ambition, that she was too ordinary, too content with her simple life. That she could never match his drive for success and status. And you, Olivia? Jordan asked with mock concern. How are things? Still working on those big career dreams, or have you accepted that some people are meant for simpler lives? His words cut deep. Throughout their relationship, Jordan had systematically dismantled her confidence, making her feel inadequate and unworthy. Even now, months after their painful breakup, his judgment still had power over her. Olivia felt her face flush with humiliation. She opened her mouth to respond, but words failed her. For a moment, she was transported back to all those times Jordan had made her feel worthless and incapable. An unexpected rescue. Then she felt it. A warm, firm hand gently settling on the small of her back. Nathan's voice came from beside her, low and intimate in a way she had never heard before. Sorry for keeping you waiting, sweetheart, he said smoothly, pulling her closer to his side. His hands settled possessively on her waist, and Olivia felt her breath catch in surprise. The auction is starting soon, and I promised you we would bid on that painting you admired. Olivia looked up at him in confusion, but Nathan's eyes conveyed a clear message. Trust me. Play along. His expression was tender and affectionate, completely convincing. Nathan Sterling, he extended his hand to Jordan with a polite smile, though Olivia noticed the coolness in his gray eyes. Olivia's boyfriend. Good to meet you. Jordan's jaw dropped. Rebecca's eyes widened in recognition. Everyone in the city knew Nathan Sterling. His face appeared regularly in business magazines and society columns. He was consistently ranked among the most eligible bachelors, with a fortune that made him one of the most influential men in the country. The shocking revelation. Boyfriend? Jordan stammered, looking between Olivia and Nathan in disbelief. But when did this happen? You never mentioned dating anyone when we were together. We met through work, Olivia heard herself say, somehow finding her voice despite her racing heart. Nathan's presence beside her provided strength she did not know she possessed. It developed naturally over time. Nathan Sterling, Rebecca whispered, clearly impressed despite herself. The tech billionaire. I read about your recent expansion in Business Weekly. That is correct, Nathan said, and then he did something that made Olivia's world tilt completely. He leaned down and pressed a soft kiss to her temple, lingering just long enough to seem intimate and genuine. Olivia has been instrumental in that success. Her strategic insights are remarkable. In fact, she is the brilliant mind behind our last 3 major acquisitions. Olivia stared at him in shock. While it was true that she had contributed ideas and helped develop strategies, she never expected Nathan to acknowledge that publicly, especially not like this. How impressive, Jordan said, though his tone suggested he found it difficult to believe. I had no idea you had connections like this, Olivia. Olivia does not need connections, Nathan said, his voice maintaining politeness but with an edge that made even Olivia shiver. She has earned everything through her own brilliance and dedication. The performance deepens. Jordan's face had gone pale, his usual confidence visibly shaken. Rebecca shifted uncomfortably beside him, her practiced smile faltering. Olivia could feel the tension radiating from Nathan's body as he kept his arm firmly around her waist, a gesture that felt both protective and possessive. Actually, Nathan continued, his voice carrying across the small circle that had formed around them, Olivia was just promoted to Vice President of Strategic Development last week. We have been keeping it quiet until the official announcement next month. Olivia's heart stopped. That was completely untrue, but the lie sent a thrill of vindication through her even as it terrified her. She glanced up at Nathan, who gave her waist a gentle, reassuring squeeze. Vice President? Jordan repeated, his voice cracking slightly. But you were just an assistant when we were together. You always said you were happy with your simple position. That was then, Olivia said, finding courage she did not know existed within her. Things change. People grow. Some of us just needed the right opportunity and the right person who actually believed in our potential. The comparison game. Rebecca's eyes narrowed slightly. She was clearly not accustomed to being upstaged. How romantic, she said, her voice taking on a competitive edge. Jordan and I have been together for 6 months now. He just bought us a beautiful condo in the Marina district. 3 bedrooms with a view of the water. How lovely, Nathan said diplomatically, though Olivia detected a hint of amusement in his tone. Olivia has been considering moving into my penthouse. The top floor overlooks the entire harbor, and the space would be perfect for the home office she needs. 20-foot ceilings, private terrace, the works. Olivia knew that penthouse. She had been there dozens of times for work meetings and late-night strategy sessions. It was essentially a modern palace suspended in the sky, with floor-to-ceiling windows, a rooftop infinity pool, and amenities that most people only saw in magazines. The monthly maintenance fees alone exceeded her current rent. Jordan looked physically ill. Throughout their entire relationship, he had criticized Olivia for lacking ambition, for being satisfied with her modest apartment and simple lifestyle. He had made her feel small and inadequate for not wanting the flashy lifestyle he craved. And now here she was, apparently living a life far beyond anything he could provide. The challenge. That sounds absolutely perfect, Rebecca said, though her smile had become tight. Jordan and I are actually planning a trip to the Maldives next month. 2 weeks at an overwater villa. It is going to be incredible for my social media content. The Maldives are beautiful this time of year, Nathan agreed. Olivia and I just returned from a private island in Greece last month. No phones, no internet, just us and the Aegean Sea. It was exactly what we both needed after the stress of the merger. Olivia remembered that week. Nathan had indeed gone to Greece, and she had stayed behind managing the office, working 16-hour days to keep everything running smoothly in his absence. But Jordan did not need to know that. I do not remember seeing any vacation photos, Rebecca said suspiciously, pulling out her phone as if to check social media. We keep our relationship private, Olivia said quickly, surprised at how naturally the lie came. Not everything needs to be posted online for validation. The barb hit its mark. Rebecca flushed slightly, lowering her phone. The accusation. Jordan had been quiet for a moment, studying them both with narrowed eyes. You know what, Olivia? I do not believe this. You two do not act like a couple. There is no real chemistry here. This seems like some elaborate scheme to make me jealous. The accusation hung in the air. Several nearby guests had stopped their conversations, sensing drama. Olivia felt panic rising in her chest. Jordan was right. Despite Nathan's arm around her and their coordinated story, something felt performative about their interaction. You think we lack chemistry? Nathan said quietly, a dangerous edge entering his voice. He turned to face Olivia fully, his gray eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that made her breath catch. Olivia, he said softly, his hand coming up to cup her cheek. May I? She barely had time to nod before his lips were on hers. The kiss. The world disappeared. This was not a quick peck or a staged performance. Nathan kissed her like a man who had been holding back for years and finally surrendered to his desires. His lips moved against hers with a passion that felt desperate and genuine. His hands slid into her hair, fingers tangling in the dark waves she had carefully styled that morning. His other hand moved from her waist to the small of her back, pulling her closer until there was no space between them. Olivia responded without thinking. Her arms wrapped around his neck, and she kissed him back with equal intensity. She could feel the solid warmth of his chest against hers, smell his cologne mixed with something uniquely him. The kiss deepened, and she felt herself melting into him, forgetting completely that they had an audience. Time seemed to stop. Olivia had been kissed before, but never like this. Never with such consuming intensity, such raw emotion. Nathan kissed her like she was precious, like she was everything, like this was not an act at all. When they finally separated, both were breathing hard. Nathan's pupils were dilated, his lips slightly swollen. His hands remained on her, one still tangled in her hair, the other pressed against her lower back. He looked at her with an expression she could not quite read. Something dark and heated and completely unlike his usual professional demeanor. The aftermath. Still think we lack chemistry? Nathan asked, his voice rough, though he never looked away from Olivia's face. She felt dizzy, overwhelmed, utterly confused about what was real and what was performance. Her lips tingled, her heart raced, and every nerve in her body felt electrified. That kiss had awakened something she had been carefully suppressing for years. When she finally managed to look around, she saw that Jordan's face had gone from pale to red. Rebecca looked stunned, her phone hanging forgotten in her hand. Several other guests were watching with barely concealed interest, some whispering behind their hands. The auction is starting, Nathan said softly, his thumb tracing along Olivia's jawline in a gesture so intimate it made her shiver. Shall we find our seats, darling? Olivia could only nod, not trusting her voice. Her mind was spinning, trying to process what had just happened. That kiss had felt real. Too real. The way Nathan had held her, the intensity in his eyes, the slight tremor she had felt in his hands. Was it possible he had feelings for her too? The uncomfortable truth. Right, Jordan said stiffly. Well, congratulations to you both. I suppose we will see you around. I am sure we will, Nathan replied, though his tone suggested he hoped otherwise. He kept his hand on Olivia's waist as they turned away, guiding her through the crowd toward the auction seating area. Olivia was acutely aware of every place their bodies touched, every brush of his fingers, every glance he sent her way. Her mind kept replaying the kiss, analyzing every moment, trying to understand what had just happened between them. They found their seats near the front, in a section reserved for major donors. Nathan pulled out her chair, his hand lingering on her shoulder for a moment longer than necessary. As she sat, she caught him watching her with an expression she had never seen before. Something vulnerable and uncertain, so different from his usual confident demeanor. Nathan, she started to whisper, but he shook his head slightly. Later, he said quietly, leaning close so only she could hear. Let us get through tonight first. Then we will talk about everything. I promise. The long evening. The auction proceeded around them, but Olivia barely registered the proceedings. She sat beside Nathan, hyper-aware of every movement he made. His hand rested on the armrest between them, inches from hers. Several times, she caught him looking at her when he thought she was not paying attention. When a painting came up for auction, a beautiful abstract piece in blues and silvers, Nathan leaned over and whispered, "Do you like it?" "It is stunning," Olivia admitted, studying the swirling colors. Without hesitation, Nathan raised his paddle and bid. The price climbed quickly, but he kept bidding until everyone else dropped out. When the auctioneer's gavel fell, Nathan had purchased the painting for an astronomical sum. "Consider it a gift," he said softly, ignoring her shocked expression. "For being brave enough to play along tonight. And for other reasons we will discuss later." Olivia's heart raced. What did he mean by other reasons? Unwanted attention. Throughout the evening, she noticed Jordan and Rebecca watching them from across the room. Every time Olivia caught Jordan's eye, she saw confusion and resentment there. Rebecca kept whispering to him, probably asking questions he could not answer. Nathan played his role perfectly. He kept his hand on Olivia's knee beneath the table, a possessive gesture that sent shivers through her. He leaned in to whisper comments about the auction items, his breath warm against her ear. He fetched her drinks and made sure she was comfortable, attentive in ways that felt genuine rather than performative. But Olivia kept wondering what was real and what was pretend. Had that kiss meant something to him, or was he simply an excellent actor protecting his assistant from an uncomfortable situation? As the evening finally drew to a close, Nathan helped her with her wrap, his hands lingering on her shoulders. "Come on," he said quietly. "Let me take you home." They walked to his car in silence, the air between them charged with unspoken questions. Olivia's mind raced with everything that had happened, everything that had changed in just a few hours. When they reached her apartment building, Nathan parked but made no move to let her out. They sat in the dim light, the silence stretching between them. "Olivia," he finally said, his voice low. "About tonight. About that kiss." "It was very convincing," she said quickly, trying to keep her voice light despite her pounding heart. "Thank you for helping me. Jordan can be cruel, and you saved me from a very uncomfortable situation." Nathan turned to face her, his expression serious. "What if I told you it was not just for show?" Olivia's breath caught. "What do you mean?" "I mean," he said carefully, "that I have been wanting to kiss you for a very long time. Tonight just gave me an excuse." The confession hung between them, changing everything. Olivia stared at him, trying to process his words. "We should talk," Nathan continued. "Really talk. Not tonight, you need time to think. But tomorrow. Coffee at 9? That little place on 5th Street? Olivia nodded, unable to form words. Nathan reached over and squeezed her hand gently, then got out to open her door. He walked her to her building entrance, and before she went inside, he pressed a soft kiss to her forehead. "Sleep well, Olivia," he said. "Tomorrow, everything changes." She watched him drive away, her heart full of hope and fear and possibility. Everything had changed tonight. The question was, would tomorrow bring the happy ending she had never dared to dream about, a sleepless night? Olivia lay awake in her small apartment, staring at the ceiling as moonlight filtered through her curtains. Sleep felt impossible. Every time she closed her eyes, she relived that kiss. The way Nathan had held her, the intensity in his eyes, the tremor in his hands. His words echoed in her mind over and over. "I have been wanting to kiss you for a very long time." She rolled over and checked her phone for the 100th time. 3 in the morning. In 6 hours, she would meet Nathan at the coffee shop, and everything would change. Either they would acknowledge these feelings and risk everything, or they would pretend tonight never happened and return to their careful professional boundaries. Her phone buzzed suddenly, making her jump. A message from Nathan appeared on the screen. "I cannot sleep. Keep thinking about tonight. About you. See you at 9. Olivia's heart raced as she typed back. "Me too. I will be there." She finally gave up on sleep around 6, choosing instead to take a long shower and obsess over what to wear. She changed outfits 4 times before settling on a soft lavender sundress that made her feel feminine and confident. Not too formal, not too casual. Perfect for a conversation that might change her entire life. The morning after. The coffee shop on 5th Street was a small, cozy place far from the business district. Olivia had discovered it years ago when she first started working for Nathan. They had come here occasionally for early morning meetings, back when their relationship was purely professional and uncomplicated. Nathan was already waiting when she arrived, sitting at a corner table by the window. He wore dark jeans and a gray Henley shirt, his hair slightly disheveled as if he had been running his hands through it. She had rarely seen him in casual clothes, and the sight made him seem more approachable, more real, more dangerously attractive. He stood as she approached, his eyes lighting up when he saw her. "Olivia," he said, pulling out her chair. "You look beautiful." "Thank you," she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. You look different. Good different. An awkward silence fell between them as they both ordered coffee. The barista brought their drinks, and still neither of them spoke. Finally, Nathan took a deep breath. I need to be honest with you, he began, his gray eyes meeting hers with an intensity that made her stomach flip. Last night was not just about helping you with your ex. I meant what I said in the car. I have had feelings for you for a long time. The confession. Olivia's hands trembled around her coffee cup. How long? Nathan smiled sadly. Do you remember your first day working for me? 4 years ago. You walked into my office wearing that navy blue suit, your resume in hand, looking terrified and determined at the same time. She remembered. She had been so nervous, interviewing for a position that felt far beyond her qualifications. You sat down, Nathan continued, his voice soft with memory, and the first thing you said was not about your credentials or experience. You said you had read about our company's commitment to sustainable technology, and you had 3 ideas for how we could improve our environmental impact. You were not trying to impress me with flattery. You genuinely cared about making a difference. Olivia felt tears prick her eyes. She remembered that interview, remembered how Nathan had listened to her ideas with genuine interest rather than dismissing her. I hired you on the spot, Nathan said. Not just because you were qualified, but because in that moment, I saw someone extraordinary. Someone who cared about substance over appearance, about making an impact rather than just making money. Over the next 4 years, I watched you handle every challenge with grace and intelligence. You made my impossible schedule manageable. You caught mistakes that could have cost us millions. You contributed ideas that transformed our business strategy. He reached across the table and took her hand, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. But more than that, I watched you show kindness to everyone. The way you remember the security guard's daughter's name. How you always buy lunch for the interns who are struggling financially. The way you speak 3 languages so you can communicate with our international partners in their native tongue. You are not just brilliant, Olivia. You are genuinely good. The barriers. Then why did you never say anything? Olivia asked, her voice breaking slightly. Why did we spend 4 years pretending there was nothing between us? Nathan's expression turned pained. Because I was terrified. You worked for me. I had power over your career, your livelihood. What if I told you how I felt and you did not feel the same? You might have felt pressured to reciprocate or felt uncomfortable working for me. I could not risk putting you in that position. Your comfort and your career were more important than my feelings. Tears spilled down Olivia's cheeks. I thought you saw me as just an assistant. Just an employee. Nothing more. Never, Nathan said fiercely, squeezing her hand. You have always been so much more. But I respected our professional relationship too much to cross that line. Until last night, when I saw that man trying to make you feel small and worthless. I could not stand by and watch. And when I kissed you, when you kissed me back, I realized I have been a coward. Life is too short to hide from the people who make us feel alive. Her truth. Olivia wiped her tears, laughing softly through her emotions. Do you want to know something? I stayed with Jordan for 3 years even though he made me miserable. Do you know why? Nathan shook his head, his eyes never leaving her face. Because I convinced myself I did not deserve better, Olivia admitted. Jordan constantly told me I lacked ambition, that I was too ordinary, that I should be grateful someone like him wanted to be with me. And I believed him. But the real reason I believed him was because I was comparing him to you. Nathan's breath caught. What do you mean? Every day, I worked beside this brilliant, kind, impossibly handsome man who treated me with respect and valued my opinions, Olivia said, her voice growing stronger. You made me laugh. You challenged me intellectually. You saw potential in me that I did not see in myself. And I thought I could never have someone like you, so I settled for someone like Jordan. I stayed with him because staying felt safer than admitting I had feelings for my boss. Feelings I was certain were not returned. The revelation. We are both idiots, Nathan said, laughing through what looked suspiciously like his own tears. We wasted 4 years being professional and careful when we could have been happy. So what happens now? Olivia asked. I still work for you. That complication has not disappeared. Nathan was quiet for a moment, considering. You are right. We need to handle this properly. No more pretending, but also no more hiding. If we are going to do this, we do it right. I will talk to HR and our legal team. We will make sure everything is documented and above board. You will never have to worry about anyone claiming favoritism or impropriety. And if it does not work out? Olivia asked quietly. If we try this and it fails? Then we will handle it like adults, Nathan said firmly. But Olivia, I have known you for 4 years. I have seen you at your best and your most stressed. I have worked beside you through crises and celebrations. This is not some sudden infatuation. I know exactly who you are, and I am certain about what I feel. The leap of faith. Olivia felt something settle in her chest. A certainty she had not felt in years. I am certain too. Terrified, but certain. Nathan smiled, that genuine expression that had always made her heart race. Can I take you to breakfast? A real date, not a work meeting disguised as a meal? I would love that, Olivia said, standing up as he came around to her side of the table. They walked out of the coffee shop hand in hand, and for the first time in 4 years, Olivia felt free. Free from pretending, free from hiding, free from settling for less than she deserved. As they strolled down the sidewalk, Nathan pulled her close and kissed her forehead. There is something else I should tell you. That promotion I mentioned last night, Vice President of Strategic Development? I have been trying to convince the board to create that position for you for 6 months. Your contributions deserve recognition beyond an assistant title. Olivia stopped walking and stared at him. Are you serious? Completely serious. You earned it through your work, not through any relationship with me. The board agrees. We were planning to announce it next month, but last night seemed like perfect timing, Nathan grinned. Though I admit, the part about you moving into my penthouse was pure improvisation. About that, Olivia said, biting her lip. Your penthouse is amazing, but I am not ready to move in together after one real date. Fair enough, Nathan laughed. Though I meant what I said about the home office. Once you are vice president, you will need proper space to work. Consider it a perk of the position, not a relationship expectation. You can have your own wing if you want. The place has 6 bedrooms. A new beginning. They continued walking, talking easily about everything and nothing. Nathan told her about the sleepless nights he had spent wondering if he was imagining the connection between them. Olivia confessed about the time she had cried in her car after work, convinced she could never be more than his assistant. We really are idiots, Olivia said, laughing as they reached a small restaurant known for its breakfast. Inside, over pancakes and fresh fruit, Nathan reached across the table and took her hand again. I have one more confession. Do you remember the company retreat 2 years ago? The one in the mountains? Olivia nodded, remembering the weekend of team-building exercises and strategy meetings. There was a bonfire on the last night, Nathan continued. You were sitting across from me, laughing at something one of the engineers said. The firelight was reflecting in your eyes, and you looked so happy, so alive. In that moment, I almost told you everything. I almost threw caution to the wind and confessed how I felt. What stopped you? Olivia asked softly. You got a phone call. From Jordan. I watched your entire expression change. The light in your eyes dimmed. You walked away to take the call, and when you came back, you looked sad. I realized you were committed to someone else, and I had no right to complicate your life with my feelings. Healing and hope. He had called to cancel our anniversary dinner, Olivia remembered. He said work was more important. That was the night I realized our relationship was already over, but I was too scared to admit it. If I had known, Nathan said, his voice fierce, would have told you then that you deserved someone who prioritized you, who saw your worth, who would never dream of canceling on you. You are telling me now, Olivia said, squeezing his hand. That is what matters. They finished breakfast and walked through the city, talking for hours. Nathan told her about his childhood, about the pressure of family expectations and the loneliness of building a company while watching everyone around him form real connections. Olivia shared her own stories, about her parents' journey as immigrants, about the pressure she felt to make their sacrifices worthwhile, about her fear of not being enough. As afternoon sun warmed the streets, they found themselves at the harbor overlook. Nathan pulled Olivia close, wrapping his arms around her from behind as they watched sailboats glide across the water. Thank you, he said softly against her hair. For what? For giving us a chance. For being brave enough to admit your feelings. For not running away when things got complicated. Olivia turned in his arms to face him. Thank you for seeing me. Not just as an assistant or an employee, but as a person. As someone worthy of respect and affection. Jordan spent 3 years making me feel small. You have spent 4 years helping me remember I am capable of great things. The promise. Nathan cupped her face gently, his thumb tracing her cheekbone. I promise you, Olivia Chen, I will spend every day reminding you of your worth. I will celebrate your successes and support you through challenges. I will never make you feel less than the extraordinary woman you are. That is a big promise, Olivia whispered, her eyes shining. I am a man who keeps his promises, Nathan replied, and then he kissed her. This kiss was different from the one at the gala. That kiss had been passionate and desperate, fueled by years of suppressed feelings and public performance. This kiss was tender and sweet, a promise of new beginnings. It tasted like hope and possibility, like the start of something beautiful and real. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. So, Nathan said, ready to face the world as an actual couple? Fair warning, the business community gossip mill is going to have a field day. Let them talk, Olivia said confidently. We know the truth. We know what we are building together, both professionally and personally. Anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with the Vice President of Strategic Development. Nathan laughed, that wonderful sound that had always made her heart sing. I love it when you are fierce. It is incredibly attractive. Good, Olivia said, taking his hand as they started walking again. Because I plan to be fierce about a lot of things from now on. Starting with us. Epilogue, 6 months later. The office buzzed with energy as Olivia stood before the board of directors, presenting the new sustainability initiative she had developed. Nathan sat in the back row, watching with undisguised pride as she fielded questions with confidence and expertise. When the presentation ended and the board unanimously approved her proposal, Nathan caught her eye and winked. She had to suppress a smile, maintaining her professional composure even though she wanted to laugh with joy. Later, in Nathan's office, he pulled her close and kissed her. You were magnificent. That proposal is going to change the entire industry. We make a good team, Olivia said, straightening his tie affectionately. In business and in life. The best team, Nathan agreed. Ready for dinner? I made reservations at that Italian place you love. As they left the office hand in hand, Olivia caught her reflection in the glass doors. She looked happy, confident, complete. The woman staring back at her was someone who knew her worth, someone who had stopped settling, someone who had found real love with someone who truly saw her. It had started with a pretend relationship at a charity gala, with a kiss meant to fool an ex-boyfriend. But it had become the most real, most honest relationship either of them had ever known. Sometimes the best love stories began with a little bit of deception and a whole lot of truth waiting to be discovered. And as Nathan opened the car door for her, smiling at her with complete adoration, Olivia knew with certainty that this was just the beginning of their forever. The end.